good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Innovation Thursdays, brought to you by IMDA. And specifically, we're talking about IMDA's Open Innovation Platform team, Team OIP. Now, for all of you tech solvers, I'm sure you are very, very excited to hear about the different challenges from the problem owners themselves. And of course, you might have already read about some of the problem briefs on the website itself, openinnovation.sg. And that's exactly where you should get started to get registered, to find more details about the different problems and the problem owners, to understand a little bit more about how you can fit in with a different solution. My name is Ching Hong. I'm both the MC as well as the facilitator for today. I do see a number of problem solvers joining us. Thank you so much for that. And I also like to extend a big thank you for the problem owners for coming up openly to discuss the different challenges in your industry. And of course, we welcome you to ask any questions for our tech solvers. You can ask any questions to the problem owners. It's a very, very rare opportunity that we have them together with us live over here to answer the different queries that can help you to further clarify and to distill a solution over here for them, right? So it's really about finding a match. This is a meeting of the minds, so feel free to speak and we look forward to your participation. Now, over here, once again, on certain etiquette over here, so we do have a Q&A bar. So if you do look at the bottom bar of your Zoom, you will notice there's a Q&A button. And this is exactly where you can post the different questions to our problem owners over here. We will try to get as many as possible of them resolved during this stream. But if unfortunately we are unable to do so, do not worry, because we are actually able to channel that to the forum that we have on our website. And of course, that can get answered later on as well. Once again, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, for the new problem solvers, thanks for joining us. Right now, we are standing at over 11,000 problem solvers strong, and we're really, really proud of that. And it's all because of you that we have matches together with our problem owners. We're able to build very ensuing relationships between individuals who have very innovative solutions and skill sets, and also between different industries that have very, very specific challenges to be solved, right? So once again, thanks for joining us. Now, just to give everybody a heads up on the Open Innovation Platform, since the inception of the Open Innovation Platform, we have had about 300 challenges and over $8.5 million of prize monies given out to all this like 11,000 tech solvers, those who made it to the finals as well. So it might just be you. So do stay tuned for that. And later on, if you do take a look at the website, maybe I can just share the website a little bit at this moment. Let me try. Now, this is actually openinnovation.sg. So the process is very simple. Essentially, there's a problem owner with a very, very specific problem and very, very specific challenge to tackle. And your job over here as problem solvers is to come out with different possible solutions and then to go on to the prototype. So once you come up with a successful prototype that matches the set of requirements set out by the problem owners, you get the cash money straight away, right? So this is the amazing part about it. We have had quite a number of success stories over here, but before I go on to share the success stories, I just want to let you know about the live challenges going up over here. Now, some of these problem owners will actually be joining us live today as well. Really, really excited. Now, this is call 13 of the OIP. So over here, we have, right, about 11 challenges and $300,000 worth of prize monies. I believe it gets updated as well. And over here, you can take a look at the different enterprise challenges. So BW Water is joining us today as well, SSA Academy as well. And we do have also AC Tesla right over here, the digital platform for electrical inspection. And also, we also do have our Singapore International Chamber of Commerce joining us this afternoon. Very proud and very happy to welcome them. Now, as you can see, it is now live. So which means you can start tackling the problems right away. I just want to give you a heads up and a special benefit for those of you who are joining us today, problem solvers. So tomorrow, there's actually a second wave of challenges coming up. Right on. So stay tuned to openinnovation.sg. And of course, after you log in, you sign up and you log in, you are actually enrolled into the mailing list where you are kept in touch and kept updated of all the challenges that will be coming our way. Now, here are some of the success stories over here. Of course, you can take a look at the different companies as well as the different solutions that they have come up with by the problem solvers. So we are all very, very proud of this entire process. So over here, what we are really, really doing is matchmaking the right problem solvers with the right skill sets and with the right thinking, with the right ideas to the problem owners in order to create a very, very good match to solve the challenges that problem owners face. Now, in a way, what we are doing over here for problem solvers, you do have certain ideas, but you might not have the resources, or those ideas might not be grounded in reality of the industry. So the problem owners do have a very, very specific set of challenges that they face in their industry, and they do have the resources, they do have the network to make it happen. But at times, they might just need certain people to fill in the skill gaps as well, to come up with different innovation and different solutions based on a different perspective, perhaps from a different industry as well. Now, once again, we welcome you to this platform of sharing and solving problems as well. Welcome. And of course, we do hope that some of you will walk home strong with the money, with the prize monies that we have prepared for you. Once again, if there's one thing you need to remember today, just one thing that you can remember. Remember openinnovation.sg, because that is where you can access the rest of the resources. You can access the problem briefs. You can access all different kind of resources to help you prototype to solve the different problems as well. Once again, my name is Ching Hong, and we shall be starting very, very shortly in just a couple of minutes. Please stay tuned. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going on to our open innovation platform called 13 with all the different problems coming up. So do stay tuned. Once again, for our problem solvers, I do see people streaming in, and it's really, really great to see many, many problem solvers joining us for the different challenges. Once again, I'll just like to give you another heads up to stay tuned to openinnovation.sg. Like I said, is the only thing you need to remember today, because tomorrow there will be a second wave of challenges freshly updated over there for your perusal, and you can go ahead and choose the problem that you are best fit to solve, as well as you don't have to do it alone. You can get a couple of friends, a couple of different tech solvers as well, team up with one another and keep that synergy tight to solve the different possibilities, come up with different possibilities to solve the different problems over here. Once again, this is the OIP call number 13. By the name, you will have known that we have done 1 to 12 all throughout, right? So this is the 13th run of it, and it's really, really exciting. I can't say, for sure who's going to win this, but I'm definitely sure to say that regardless whether you win or not in this challenge, right, you're going to learn something. You're going to make new network. You're going to create new network, and you're going to be able to tap on the different resources from the website that we have, as well as the ensuing relationship with IMDA. Once again, I think we're looking to start very, very soon. I mean, as long as we're ready, you can give me a green light, and perhaps we can start rolling with all the different problems, as well as our problem owners who are here together, so they can share in depth on what are the specific challenges they face in their industries, and how can we help to make sure that we are able to come up with fitting solutions, some of them that really work in the industry itself. Now, we're not looking for just ideas. We're looking for beyond ideas. How can we bring it to prototype? And if you take a look at the success stories, there's actually a lot of people who have their product or solution commercialized, which means it's going into reality, it's going into whatever industry you're building it for. So once again, this is the OIP call 13, and we shall be starting very, very soon. Just waiting for a couple more tech solvers. And of course, once again, we invite you to raise your questions, to ask your questions vicariously all throughout the Q&A. All right, we're all good to go. Thank you very much. Okay, wonderful, wonderful. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, first session of 2022. I believe this is the IMDA Innovation Thursdays. Welcome. My name is Ching Hong, the host for today. Now, just to run in short over what I have said earlier, just to let you know on what this challenge is about for our new problem solvers. Once again, this is brought to you by IMDA Open Innovation Platform team. So there's a lot of challenge to be solved, a lot of prize monies to be won. Specifically, we have given more than $8.5 million in prize monies, or rather our problem owners have given more than $8.5 million in prize monies to people who have provided very, very ingenious solutions for the different problems that they have. We have over 11,000 tech solvers in our community. So for this round of the Innovation Call 13, unless otherwise specified, right, please remember the date, which is 17 June 2022. That's the date that you have to submit your proposals. Now, there are a couple of companies, or if not just one, if I remember, who's requesting for a proposal earlier. So I will keep you up to date as to which problem owner that is. And once again, to keep updated of all the challenges, tomorrow we will be launching a second wave of challenges, which means something that you have not seen on openinnovation.sg today. So sign up the mailing list so you don't miss out anything. Now, in Innovation Call 13, we have lots of challenges, lots of prizes. And today, we do have our partners from SICC, BW Water. We also do have an anonymous problem owner, as well as AC Tesla and SSA Academy. As you can see, they hail from all the different industries with different challenges in different areas. So later on, it is my job to facilitate the session of the Q&A, but it is your job, problem solvers, to ask the best questions to really clarify and distill on the possible prototype they're going to build to win, right? Definitely. So please ask your questions, aloud out in the Q&A. It might be a question that someone else will be asking as well. Now, without further ado, first off, we're going to start off with a video to explain a little bit more about, Innovation Call 13 and what it truly is about. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's running right now. So really, these are all the different challenges with $8.5 million worth of prize monies that we have given out before. And of course, over 11,000 tech solvers as mentioned. We have seen many happy faces, many prototypes, many matches all across the industry, and we're really, really happy about it. And many of them actually build ensuing relationships with all these companies. They found themselves new customers, new clients, and all these different solutions have come out from this catalyst that we have provided here to develop innovative solutions in the tech field. Now, aviation, we do have one of our problem owners from that today. Engineering for sure. Education as well. Yes, definitely. And professional services. All those are included in today's program lineup as we look forward on how to better and, how to further streamline operations. So once again, the website that you need to remember, openinnovation.sg, brought to you by IMDA. Thank you very, very much, ladies and gentlemen. And I shall not hold you back any further today. So over here, we do have our first problem owner. I'm sure you are very, very interested to find out what they have. So the first problem owner actually hails from SICC, the Singapore International Chamber of Commerce. They are Singapore's longest serving independent voluntary business association for local and foreign-owned companies from all business sectors. Now, they do have a very, very interesting challenge. So from my understanding, they do have this form, this document called the ATA Carnet, which is an international customs document that allows companies to temporarily export their goods for exhibition. And their problem statement over here is how to digitalize the Carnet application process for a smarter and more efficient form filing process, not just to enhance this customer's experience, but also to reduce SICC's processing time over here. And we do have with us proudly the Chief Executive of Singapore International Chamber of Commerce. Let's welcome Mr. Victor Mills. Mr. Mills, please.
Cheng Hong, thank you very much. And
thank you.
Hello and welcome to everybody. Great to be back on the IMDA Open Innovation Platform. Let me just share my screen and just share a very short presentation about our particular problem. Okay, so the image on the screen really tells you what we want. We want to move away from manually completing documents to an e-application system to really improve the customer experience and more particularly also help my team with the processing of applications. So as Cheng Hong has very kindly introduced us, we are Singapore's longest serving independent business association, and we and our members have been helping businesses and Singapore succeed since 1837. And one of the certification services we provide to our customers is the ATA Carnet. So let me just explain what ATA means first of all. It's an acronym. The first two letters AT stand for Admission Temporaire, which is French for temporary admissions. And yes, you've guessed it, the second two letters, T and A, is the English equivalent of the French, temporary admissions. The carnet is another French word for a ticket or a pass. And in fact, the global marketing of the product, which is now valid in more than 70 countries, is the passport for goods. I'll explain what I mean by that in just a second. But I want to say that the ATA carnet was developed by the International Chamber of Commerce, or ICC, in Paris. This organization is responsible for all the rules around trade documentation. And despite the similarity in our names, ICC and SICC, we are not the Singapore branch of ICC. We are an independent Singapore company. So why is the ATA carnet the passport for goods? Because it allows customers to temporarily export their various goods for exhibition, demonstration, or commercial sample purposes, but not, repeat, not for sale, into a participating country or countries, and they don't have to pay duty or taxes. And the only provision is, well, there are two. The goods cannot be sold and they must be re-exported back home, in this case, home to Singapore. So that's sort of the background. And I want to sort of move on and talk about the problem. The problem is that the carnet is a multi-form document, which at the moment has to be manually completed by every customer. So imagine they have to type sometimes the same information on multiple pages of this multi-form document. Sometimes they forget to do that, which slows down the processing of the application. But the long and the short of it is, it's a right pain for the customer. It's horrible. It's not a good experience. And what we want to do is find the right problem solver to help us move this multi-form document onto an e-application platform to help our customers and to help us reduce the processing time and just give the customers some help. So for example, auto prompts would be a great idea to help the customers realize that they need to complete XYZ box or boxes. It would be great if the information that needs to be repeated only needs to be keyed in once, which is what we mean by an intuitive solution. Because we're a not-for-profit business associations, this solution's got to be cost effective because we do not have millions of dollars to spend on it. So cost effectiveness is key. And last, but by no means least, the solution that you help us develop and build needs to be able to interface with the ICC Paris system for two reasons. One, they want the data. Currently, we submit the data by manual spreadsheets every month detailing how many carnet we issue and which countries are our customers traveling to. So that's one reason. The second reason ICC Paris wants the data is because it's their baby, their form, and they charge us, the issuer, a fee for each carnet. So they want to make sure that they collect all the fees that we owe them. So what's in it for you? And that's always a good question to ask, and I'm happy to answer it. Obviously, there's prize money, and that's always nice. Nice to get a bit of recognition, nice to get a bit of funding to help with the prototyping. You also will have an opportunity to co-innovate with my domain experts. I'm not the domain expert, but my team members are, and they're looking forward to working with you to develop the solution. We believe that there's a great opportunity to commercialize what you develop with us for other carnet issuers in the region. And the structure of the carnet system means that there is one authorized issuer per country. So there's a lot of countries in the region, all of which issue carnet, most of which do not have an e-solution. So there's a great opportunity there. And we would love to be able to share in the commercialization, since it's our domain knowledge that is helping you develop your intellectual property. But that's something we can discuss. Last, but in no way least, you'll also gain access to IMDA's not inconsiderable technology resources and their facilities to help with the prototyping if you need that. I am not going to go through the evaluation criteria because that's on the website and in the documents that you've already read. But what I do want to stress is the benefit of the IMDA OIP process for a problem owner like me is that it helps us make an informed decision. One of the greatest problems any company has is choosing from amongst a broad spectrum of problem solvers. And this is where IMDA really helps, because in addition to me and my IT manager and my domain expert evaluating each of your submissions, the experts in IMDA who do this all the time will also independently evaluate each submission. And in addition to that, IMDA's knowledge partners will also independently evaluate each submission. And then the three parties get together and we then arrive at a consensus of which solution is the best fit for us. So it's really terrific. The deadline is the 13th of May for all your submissions by 4 o'clock, 1600 hours Singapore time. Late submissions will not be entertained because IMDA is too busy, and so are we. And the reason we want to move ahead with this as quickly as possible is, first of all, we know it's not rocket science. Secondly, we want to move from prototype to solution to rollout no later than the 1st of November of this year, which is perfectly doable by any stretch of the imagination. So please remember 13th of May, 4 p.m. Singapore time. That concludes my brief presentation, and we now want to move to the most important part of the presentation, which is your questions. So please ask away.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mills. And I think that was a rather succinct and very, very clear presentation. And the solution needed is very, very clear as well. Our tech solvers have been asking in the chat form. So we will just request that you put it in the Q&A form so that we can better direct it to the problem owner. Thank you very, very much. So maybe I can lead on with a first question, but we do encourage all our tech solvers to ask openly. As Mr. Mills mentioned, this is actually the most critical part of why Mr. Mills is even live with us over here. And that is to take your questions itself. So Mr. Mills, can I just represent the tech solver community, I guess, to start off the first question as to, I think the form filling part will not be a very, very big concern, but through interfacing with the ICC Paris system would probably be one of the biggest challenge that I foresee in this over here. So is there any idea on how they are actually interfacing with the system, or how we can interface? Because I do see here that it's probably through open data API. Is there any confirmation on that, or other means that we can interface with them? Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to say that it is open face, but I think it is. But let me just answer your question, Ching Hong, more properly by saying that we've got all the tech details from Paris, and we'll be very happy to pass those over to the problem solvers who are interested in this problem statement. Ditto will be able to provide the document in question, which is this multi-form document that needs to move from paper-based to e-platform or e-solution.
Sure, Mr. Mills, thank you for answering that. Yeah, and thank you for sharing. So, Mr. Mills, the first question coming out from our tech solvers over here is, may I know how does SICC currently control the ATA Carney numbers to prevent duplicates or non-genuine copies? Is that actually by you, or was that actually by Parasite? Yeah.
Oh, that is by us and by each issuer. So of course, right now it's a manual process. An application comes in, it gets allocated a specific number. That number is recorded on a spreadsheet, and that's how we keep track. So it's extremely manual, and that's one of the things we want to change.
For sure. Thank you very much for answering that. So the second question coming from our tech solvers over here is that, are the ATA Carney forms currently printed locally, or do they actually come from Paris itself?
Thank goodness they're printed locally, so that helps us keep the costs down. And yeah, it all happens in Singapore.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So I think the next question is a little bit vague. Maybe you could ask, what do you mean by format for the proposal? Do you mean like .ppt or something like that? Maybe you could ask again in a clearer form, perhaps. Now, the next question that we're looking at is from application to successful approval. How long does it currently take on average for the ATA Carnet forms?
Well, of course, that depends on a number of things, not the least of which is, have the customers completed the form, the application forms properly? And often there's a bit of toing and froing to get that done. But you're looking at probably 5 working days or thereabouts. We do, of course, offer urgent approval. And that is for customers who are very used to the product, use it very often. For example, people like the Singapore Symphony Orchestra, when they go on concert tours, they use the carnet to move their musical instruments from one country to another. Or for another example would be luxury Swiss watch retailers who want to hold an exhibition of their $600,000 Swiss franc watches in Shanghai, China. They use the carnet to avoid paying import duties and taxes. So really it depends, but we do have this urgent processing for our valued customers, and that means they apply and we get back to them within 24 hours.
Right. So it does depend on the queue itself and whether they're able to really expedite that. Now, I do see another question, and that is regarding the volume. So coming from Jeanette is asking about what's the rough estimated volume or number of transactions per month?
It varies. And of course, as you can imagine, with COVID in the last couple of years, the business has really reduced because so many borders have been closed. But we're already seeing a pickup in the business thanks to the fact that more countries' borders are now open. So I would say we probably issue somewhere in the range of, in a good year, just under 1,000 a year. In a less good year, a normal year, that is not a COVID year, we're probably looking at about 600. So the volume is not enormous, but believe you me, the hassle of completing the form is a real bugbear for customers and, of course, for my colleagues who process their applications.
For sure. We can understand that. And between multiple parties with the to and fro, definitely. And I think this question is pertaining, I believe, on whether they do need to interface with an existing system or could they build one from scratch, I believe, from David Chandra. He's saying that, thank you for the explanation. Do you actually need the user or applicant to fill into to log in to a particular system to fill in the carnet forms?
Well, I mean, it's the system that we're looking for our problem solvers to recommend and work with us to build. So at the moment, it's a manual process. We want to make it an e-application process. So we're looking for a solution that will move this paper-based form online.
All right. So in that sense, since it's a paper application, there's no logging in so as per se. Right. Cool.
That's right.
And cool. And next up on the budget, does SICC have an indicative budget?
That's a cheeky question, but I understand why it's being asked. Well, I suppose the answer lies in the statement I made during my presentation. We're not for profit, so therefore we're very cost conscious. We have to be, and really it's up to the problem solvers to recommend a solution and put a cost to that solution. Right.
So problem solvers, feel free to recommend that. And if I recall correctly, Victor actually mentioned that this solution can also apply to different countries while also having similar challenges with carnet forms. So potentially there's a wider area to commercialize.
You're absolutely right. We believe that there is significant commercial opportunities to take the solution that's developed for Singapore, and then with fairly minimal tweaking, for example, using different languages, then customize it for other carnet issuers in the region. That's right.
Right. So there's actually a potential for problem solvers to take it abroad as well, to become a regional solution as well. So
That's right.
There's this question on data access and management flow. So he's saying that user submits the form, someone validates the form and has permission notification system. Oh, I think he's talking about, is there a preferred way of data access and management? I do believe that this question might be a little bit tough to take online. Because there's seriously a lot of details.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of detail, and what I would prefer to do is to get the domain experts to answer that when we choose a problem solver. So I'd ask the problem solvers to keep in mind the fact that it should be an intuitive solution, and then we can build from there.
Right. Thank you very much. And I think that's all the time we have for our first problem over here. I do notice that there are a couple of different questions that are being asked. But as mentioned, Mr. Mills has said that he does actually have a team that might be better positioned to answer this with the different data that you can actually see in the brief once you log into the openinnovation.sg platform. So we'd like to thank Mr. Mills for your time, and we'll be posting all the questions into the forum to be discussed and answered as well. Once again, thank you very much, Mr. Mills.
Thanks a lot, Ching Hong, and thank you everybody for your attention and your presence, and we look forward to your submissions. Thank you.
Absolutely. We do hope to find a match, and we do hope to find a suitable problem solver as well. Thank you very much, Mr. Mills, and that was our first problem owner for the day, and none other than from Singapore International Chamber of Commerce, our Chief Executive, Mr. Victor Mills. Now, next up, I'm just going to jump straight to the next question over here. But before that, I'll just like to remind everybody to just ask in Q&A. Now, thank you very much for your questions. I do actually appreciate it very much. I would just like to tell you that you can feel free to ask the questions anytime. But as we power on, you might want to type who the question is for. For example, if there's a question midway between the first and second presentation, our admin might be just a little bit confused as where to place it. So if you're looking at Mr. Mills, you can type Mr. Mills or Victor in short, and so on and so forth for the different problem owners as well. Thank you very, very much for that. And you can type during the presentation as well. That's all fine. But if you prefer to save the question for a later part, we are all ears as well. Now that brings us to the second part of our presentation over here today. And our next problem owner is coming right up over here. The next problem owner is a member of BW Group. They are called BW Water. They are a leading supplier of water and wastewater systems for the industrial and municipal marketplace. Now, they do have projects in Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand. So imagine around Asia and particularly Southeast Asia, I guess. BW Water plans to expand to other markets in the Europe and the USA as well. Now, currently, BW Water does onboard and manage many vendors for project delivery. They have a lot of multiple stakeholders involved. And these key processes include like issuing and processing a purchase request, generating POs, many different documents and administration. Now, some of this includes like manual data entry, document generation and approval process, tracking progress, and also communicate with vendors and reporting as well. So their problem statement from BW Water here is how might they actually automate the project management process to improve efficiency and achieve accurate real-time decision-making. I think that's an interesting one because not only do you have to automate the process to improve efficiency, you also have to achieve the fact of accurate real-time decision-making, so that feedback has got to be immediate over here. So joining us, representing BW Water, we are really proud to have our next speaker over here to present. He's none other than the Chief Financial Officer, Mr. Anson Tan. Mr. Anson Tan is actually an experienced finance business partner of a demonstrated history of working in the audit assurance and commercial experience in investment and operation. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome CFO of BW Water Pte Ltd, Mr. Anson Tan. Anson, please.
Thank you. And thank you, Ching Hong, for the kind introductions. And much appreciate for the IMDA for launching this program for us. And I really appreciate as a part of the Singapore communities being assisted by the IMDA for the whole campaign. Welcome all the tech partners to give us a solutions and cooperate together. And as an introductions, I think, thank you, Ching Hong, for the introductions. We are part of the BW Group. What we are doing is very simple as an engineering, procurement, and construction company. We are very focused on water industries. We are doing municipal water, industrial water, and we are builders. we build the water treatment facilities. And we really think that what we are doing is very valuable for the global world, because water is always something necessity for everyone. So we built water treatment plants in Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, and Thailand, and we are expanding ourselves in Europe and USA. So that's where we are. The capacities, we have different locations, we have our different customers in different regions in the Southeast Asia for water. So I think I just shown a little bit. We want to automate our process so that we can make our decisions from a business point of view for efficiency, for real-time decision making. With that, I think just to bring you back for the process that we are very focused on. And we, as an EPC company, we are building the water treatment facilities. And two of the major key costs, as a finance guys, I always talk about cost and the revenue. So we are very focused on the material and equipment costs, which is part of the procurement process. And then the process is for the manpower costs, because we have incurred a lot of manpower, engineers, project manager, the overhead teams to support our projects. So with that, I think the first focus for us to automate for the plan for our currently doing is for the procurement. So the procurement start with the purchase request, purchase order, and the PO executions. I guess there's no it's not a special process for any of the engineering company, but just bring a little bit of the details from the purchase request with the approval process to the purchase order issue to the vendors. And we hope that the automation can, from the vendors, what we meant by the communications with the vendors and then feedback with informations and the invoice, payment, etc. We hope that this kind of processing, we are doing very manually. We key in Excels here and there and call the vendors with emails, etc. So all this, I think that's the pain point that we are looking for automations. So some special events, I limit a special event, for example, during the process, there's some discount offer, there's some blanket PO, unused PO, etc. that might make the process a little bit different to normal processing. So there's something that we hope that we have some flexibilities with the system. And second part of the manpower is about the timesheet checking, how many time costs. We are very focused on answer one question: how much time cost we use for each project, and it's from the hours and also the payroll, how much we are paying for each person. So we understand the capacity on the payroll computation for each countries. We have Singapore, Malaysia, Philippines, Thailand, Indonesia, and the payroll system, they are all different. So we are computing the payroll ourselves right now and keying into the systems and with the timesheet to compute the number of hours and allocate to each project. So that's what we are looking to automate. Perhaps the timesheet can be automated in the systems, and then the allocation, of course, can be done systematically through the automations without any much Excel computation. So that's the second part of the major causes that we hope that the manpower can be automated. With that, I think we hope that the system can have some flexibility around to have some adjustment on the timesheet, because we are expanding to different countries and we may have taken on different kind of projects. So that's something that we are looking for the project, for these automations. So just to repeat the problem statement again is to automate. So that I highlight the automations as the keywords. And we think that there are some key components that we are looking at. It should enhance the internal external communications. There is a data entry, data input can be streamlined, and we can support the decision making. And within all these key requirements, we hope that the entire process can be automated and it can be extendable, because we hope that future, when we build based on solid foundations, and then later on we can expand or extend to other kind of business within the water industries. and the extendable component, for example, for other new automations protocol, for example, the project management, the sales protocol, etc. So sales system, etc. So that's, we hope that this system can give us some extendable function. It can be extendable to other system also. So currently we are using Zero System, our accounting platform. So we still hope that we can keep the Zero System as our base. So hence we hope that this new automations can be integrated with the Zero System. So as the previous presenter, Mr. Victor, is the same. We are offering the reward, and I guess the reward is just not just on the dollar size of 30K Sing dollars, but it's mostly is the expansions of and the cooperation between the enterprise, BW Water, and also you guys, how to explore this industry. And we do believe that the engineering industries in the Southeast Asia will be a big market for us to test out for this automations. And no surprise, the evaluation criteria is all similar and listed in the website. And we are setting a time for 17th of June. Hopefully can get you guys support with the proposals. And that is the end of my presentations, and welcome any questions.
Thank you very much, Anson. That does sound like you do need a very, very comprehensive solution over there. But I think we do have many tech solvers that are ready to, tackle and, just really destroy the challenge overall. I'm sure there's a lot of different components to this, and you can actually further read up on this on the website as well, openinnovation.sg. But most importantly, I think we invite you to ask your burning questions, because the real purpose of having Anson here really is to ask all the burning questions and to get an immediate feedback and clarification, so you are able to start to think about what are the possible solutions you want to apply to make the prototype, to make the solution. But most importantly, first, let's start off with the proposal. Now, Anson, I think we're still waiting for a couple of questions to come in. So if you don't mind, I'm going to ask a question on behalf of the tech solvers as well. Now, there is actually a different, many different requirements in terms of tracking or interfacing between software. I just want to ask, is there a reason why you have not choose to opt for another ERP software that can deliver most of the requirements here rather than building one from scratch? Yeah.
I guess the major reason for us is that because we are engineering company, we tailor make certain of the components and a certain part for our customers based on our based on the need on the specification, etc. And it just makes the procurement process very complex. And we will have to monitor each items in the procurement is very specified. So if we are talking about ERP and with different countries of implementation, firstly, that will be very costly for us. And we may not have that kind of scale to adopt to ourselves to the ERP system. And as well as we are using Zero System, and we hope that we can still maintain that as our basis. And with that, I think if we jump to an ERP, that will be a very costly and perhaps another very long period of time before we can implement the new system.
I understand. So thank you so much for taking that question. It sounds like Zero is here to stay. And of course, we need to make it interface. I imagine the migration would be a major headache that adds to your troubles as well. So yes, I'm waiting for some of the different, okay, so I think Anson, could I have a small little request? So for the participants that are actually asking if you are able to look at the presentation deck and perhaps to just go into the slideshow mode, because it was a little bit small for some of them to see just now. I apologize because I'm using a really huge screen. So yes, if some of you are using the phone, I understand.
Yeah.
So they were talking about the form of the diagram. I think that's the slide that they're looking at. Yeah.
Oh, I see. Let me try to...
I think it's the one with the one from left to right. There was certain causality chain.
Try to share again.
The process flow chart. Yes. I think this is the one. Yeah. So yes, Yeah, for all our problem solvers, please take a look at the chart. I do hope that that's large enough for you to take a look right now. Otherwise, you may want to consider just double clicking, because on our screen, sometimes Zoom is showed on a smaller screen. You might just want to double click on that image to make it a full screen. Yeah, to take a look at the different, the processes over here.
Or if the
sorry,
solver would like to have this presentation, I don't mind to share on.
Sure. Sure. Thank you very, very much, guys. And thank you very much to Anson as well. So we would just like to tell everybody that this presentation, this entire session that we are having over here, and it will be uploaded, actually, if I'm not wrong, to YouTube. So the video will actually be accessible to you, in which you can slowly peruse the slide and also look for other questions. But we do like to have a couple of questions right now if you are here, because for Anson to take this question right now, we'll be able to clarify some of your doubts and to decide whether you are pursuing this problem. Is it a problem you have the resources to tackle, and is it something that you are able to handle within the deadline, which I believe is 17 June. Yeah, so do remember, and time is a factor as well, so please be mindful not to submit late. I think it's very, very important for us to be punctual as well. Yeah. Right, I'm looking at the questions right now. Okay, any other questions that we have over here? Okay, process flow chart. Yeah, I think a couple of them is still on. Okay, the slides is all right. Cool. Thank you. So, and so while waiting for their questions to come in as well, I do actually have another burning question, because there is actually quite a number of components to handle over here, including like manual data entry, document generation, tracking progress, and communicate with vendors. They might be quite different. So if there's sort of like something that is most burning in this challenge for BW Water, what would that be? And so that our participants can actually start tackling straight from that angle first before bringing in the other solutions.
Perhaps I also come back with this process flow chart to adjust the questions, and I do appreciate this is a good questions. And because actually you will see a lot of flows from purchase request to the approval process and the PO, etc. They are currently all done by Excel. And then I give an example that we have an Excel template for purchase request. And then the purchase requester will fill out the form and then send it to the approval, the people who should approve it, and then sign back on the on the PDF, and then send it back. And then next level of the approval. I guess the whole that's why we very focus on automations. And if we want to break it down to the two portions for procurement and also the manpower cost, manpower timesheet for the next one, the next page. So I would think that really the procurement function is something that we really want to automate. If I would like to break it down and prioritize. The reason is really because we hope to develop our vendor database, and with these automations, with the saving of the time costs and efficiencies. And I guess that is the major pain point for us.
Right. So on the side of procurement requests as well. Okay, cool. So we're probably looking at from the part of generating the PO all the way down to the relevant different processes. Right? Yeah. Thank you very much, Anson, for answering the questions. And of course, there are a couple of questions, but they're not coming through the Q&A. Yeah. So what is the ideal schedule for the MVP? I suppose you mean minimal viable product. Is it 3 to 4 months?
You mean the timing for launching?
Yeah, for minimal viable product. So not the entire system, I guess, to show that it works.
I guess it might. I doesn't have a much concept on what is the appropriate timeline. I guess 2 to 3 months will be something. Perhaps if we get the proposal in June, and it could be somewhere in September or October, that we can start to look at the implementations, and by end of the year we hope to have some launching.
Thank you very much. Okay, cool. So yeah, from June onwards, maybe like a 3 months or so. I think that was what Anson provided as well. I do think that there is another question that's coming out. Do you have samples of the input and output for the different stages of the process flow chart?
You mean the for example, the input and output means the purchase request, purchase order.
I suppose, yes, I suppose, meaning the purchase form and things like that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I guess I received a similar request from another tech partner, and I do believe that we have put in some of the templates, quite a lot of different reportings, PR in Excel, the PO in Excel. I guess that is already uploaded into the OIP platform.
All right, awesome, guys. So I think that's all the questions that we have for today, and perhaps it will be better positioned for our problem solvers to take a look at the different inputs and outputs to get a realistic view of the problem, and also whether it's a right fit for you to tackle that challenge as well. So with that, we really like to thank Anson for your time, and we wish you the best in finding a fitting solution for BW Water in automating this project management for operational excellence. Thank you so much, Anson.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate your time. And that was from BW Water, guys. And as mentioned, we do have a lot of different challenges from different problem owners over here. So we have seen the Singapore International Chamber of Commerce as well as BW Water. I just want to reassure you that, you know, the questions that you raise, even if it's not answered during this live stream, we will be able to upload it to the forum for us to better discuss, and also for the problem owner and their team to essentially look at the problems and answer you. So it will be solved, and if not, you can just email us. We can drop in a follow-up with you as well. So thank you very much for that. So we have seen SICC as well as BW Water. Now the next problem owner is very interesting. It's an anonymous problem owner, and in the industry that many of us like, aviation. So the next problem owner is actually an aviation industry leader that is working towards sustainable air travel. So currently, before each flight takeoff, the amount of fuel is calculated using parameters such as total weight, center of gravity, and flight path. However, according to published data, for a 10-hour flight, every 1 kilogram of inaccurate weight can mean an extra 350 grams of fuel burn, which very much affects fuel economy optimization. So the problem statement here really is, how might we quickly, accurately, and non-intrusively, now quickly, accurately, and non-intrusively obtain the passenger and hand luggage weight just before flight departure? So ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, problem solvers, look forward to this as well. We are going to leave the problem owners to introduce themselves as well. Maybe invite the problem owner online, please. Thank you.
Hello. Yes. Hi, Ching Hong. As rightly pointed out, we are anonymous, not for the wrong reason, but for the right reason. We are posting a challenge which is out of our company core competency, and it's a bit sensitive here, and we do not want to elicit some sort of unnecessary response from our competitors. That is the main reason. So as you rightly pointed out, let me share my slide first. So as you rightly pointed out, before every flight takes off, it's essential for a certain document called the load sheet to be filled up and approved by the authority. If not, the aircraft is considered not airworthy. Airworthy meaning the aircraft itself is worthy of flight. If not, for the sake of safety, it's not allowed to be taken off. So currently in the industry practice, every passenger itself has been given an estimated weight of approximately 75 to 84 kilograms in calculation of their weight for this load sheet. So the thing is, this inaccuracy in passenger weight data has required us to create some sort of safety of margin for fuel requirements in order for the flight to fly safely to their destination. However, this safety margin itself has resulted in a lot of conservative fuel policy in many airlines, resulting in over fuel padding and therefore overconsumption of fuel. As you rightly pointed out, for every 10-hour flight, every 1 kg of extra fuel carried means 350 grams of fuel burn. Every 1 kg of extra fuel means extra 3.16 kg of carbon dioxide emission. So for the sake of sustainability, we were thinking, and in fact, maybe thinking outrageously that maybe if we can acquire passenger weight data before every flight, we can do a part for the planet's climate. So what are we looking for? We're actually looking for a prototype that can quickly, accurately, and non-intrusively obtain the weight of the passenger and their associated hand baggages before every flight departure. However, there are certain constraints to this, because when an aircraft is turning around meaning it stops at the departure gate, goes through fuel uplift, water uplift, catering, etc., everything. There's a amount of time whereby we need to acquire this data before the fuel truck itself finish uplifting the fuel to the aircraft. So there will be a balance between speed and accuracy of passenger weight. So this is a challenge we are posing to the problem solvers. We want something which is, non-intrusive. Why non-intrusive? Because we want to have the willingness from the passenger themselves to have their weight acquired. We want the weight data to be accurate because, as dictated by National Aviation Authority rules, accuracy of weight needs to be at 0.1 kilogram accuracy. We want it to be quick and seamless, so that we don't want it to be a deterrence to passenger when they weigh themselves. And of course, it needs to be secure because weight data itself is privacy data. So what's in it for you? So we are now looking at a notional sum of $50,000 prize money for the winner. Of course, should you come up with a very innovative solution and we have the opportunity to work together, this prize money will be definitely more. So, and if it's successful and it hits the requirement of non-intrusive, we are able to quickly and accurately gather the weight data in a seamless manner. There's opportunity for you to work with us to deploy this solution in global airport operations. So what is the evaluation criteria? So this is just a cookie cutter template taken from the IMDA website. So what is the solution fit? Basically non-intrusive, seamless experience for the passenger in an airport, accurate and quick acquisition of data. How fast can we go to market with this solution? Is the solution really innovative? What is the associated cost with it? And of course, with this kind of difficult problems, we expect people, members with strong scientific and technical background in sensors. So that is all from us.
Thank you very much, Tajin. Thank you for sharing. And of course, may I just point out to all our problem solvers that they carry the most amount of prize money for today's challenges. As I rightfully pointed out, the rest are 30,000. They are on 50,000 right now. So remember to fire out your questions over here. I think it typically takes a little bit of time for the questions to come in. So perhaps I would like to pose the first question from my point of view, if you don't mind. So I think there's a couple of performance requirements that are very clearly stated out, which is accuracy, automated speed and reliability, and the other one is non-intrusive and secure. May I just understand from your point of view as a, from aviation industry, which of these are actually the most difficult and why? For example, maybe on intrusive, like we can't get them to weigh themselves like they weigh baggages and things like that. Do you have a certain factor we should consider to be the most difficult?
Acquiring passenger weight is the most difficult because of the negative press associated. There's a stigma with airlines themselves that weighing passenger will provide a negative image for them. So that is a problem. That's why we require a non-intrusiveness. The function may be the same, but putting a weighing scale versus something that is different in acquiring weight data will totally promote a different kind of image for the airline.
Definitely. Thank you very much for sharing that as well. I think on the questions coming from the participants, the first question would probably be already answered, which is like why the hand luggage and passengers, why can't they be weighed at the same time? I guess it's also because of the negative press. Am I right to say that, Tajin?
Yes.
Okay, cool. So I think we have the first question answered. And the second question coming from Garisan, is that our understanding is that the data needs to be given to pilot 1 hour before departure. Can it be reduced to 30 minutes provided it does not delay takeoff? You have already mentioned that it must be non-intrusive. So can it be reduced to 30 minutes?
Yes, because the fuel uplift operation to the aircraft itself takes around 40 plus minutes to an hour, depending on the length of the flight. So in the midst of uplifting the fuel to the aircraft, the passenger weight data can be collected in parallel. We did some in-house simulation based on certain hypotheses. We were expecting to impact the flight itself, impacting, meaning we were expecting to reduce the fuel consumption for a particular trip itself by 0.5%. In other words, you can have the fuel truck uplifting the fuel towards the 99 percentile, with the remaining 1 percentile with the fuel truck waiting, with the pilot taking the decision, of course, with the available data from the weighing sensor, telling him should he take the decision to uplift the additional 1% or the additional 0.5% or not.
Right.
So
Thank
I'm
you
not
very
sure
much.
that answered the question. It's not really a yes or no question. It depends on the
Perhaps I
operation.
can add on to Dajin's answer as well. We are less concerned about the process, let's say, improvement at this point than the technology itself. Like in the problem statement stated, if you're looking for non-intrusive and passenger measurement technology for accuracy, we want to keep the focus more on the technology itself than on the process. So like DJ said, at the moment we are less concerned about how long or less it would take. So the answer is a yes or a no, but we're more interested in how can this be done.
Definitely. Thank you very much for filling in, Zaida. Thank you very much. I think that does speak volumes as well on the priorities that we have over here as well. So Edmund, on the other hand, is asking that do you have an ideal footprint? For example, like 80 by 80 cm or...
Whatever it takes to cover the entirety of the passenger itself together with his hand carry luggage.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you very
So
much.
I'm not going to give a direct solution because I don't want to constrain the means of data acquisition. It may be a scale which is calibrated, or it can be some other forms of means to acquire weight data.
Right. Thank you very much, Tajin. Sorry, Zahida, were you about to add something as well?
Right. I would like to add on that we're looking for inconspicuous means. So while we're looking for the data, which is the accurate passenger weight, whether it's whatever is the size of the apparatus is not important. However, if you're talking apparatus itself, it needs to be inconspicuous to the point that Dajin mentioned earlier, not affecting the passengers' inhibitions in wanting to weigh themselves.
Right. Thank you very much. So there's another question. When you say non-intrusive, does it mean that passengers should not know that their weight is being measured? Well, there's a fine line here. What do you say?
I think.
Yeah.
May I go first, DJ?
Yeah, go ahead, Zaida.
So non-intrusive does not mean non-informed. We're all governed by PDPA and GDPR Act. I think I see a question around it as well. We will always have to declare to passengers that we're collecting this data, and this is a no, let's say, non-negotiable. However, non-conspicuous means that something that is not impacting where, for example, if I'm going to measure myself today at the check-in gate, I would not want my next passenger, the co-passenger, to look into the data that I am being measured for. That's what I mean by non-conspicuous. And today you look at stuff in Changi Airport, right? And through the pandemic, we've all seen evolutions where thermal heat imaging camera or a technology where you just walk through can sense your heat map, right? And that's non-intrusive. You're not standing there, you're not waiting for data to be captured so that the next person or someone else can see that data. And that's what I mean by non-conspicuous.
Thank you very much. I think that was very clear.
And if I may chip in, right? So I think the most obvious solution when I think of this problem, is a weighing scale. But as what my team members have described earlier, we are looking at something possibly beyond that, could be wireless signal that sends the dimension of the human body, just to throw some ideas here, right? And then maybe coupled with some smart algorithm that can determine the weight, for instance. So, we are looking at some non-traditional ways of solving this problem. That's what
Thank
we're
you.
looking for.
Thank you very much, Joseph. And I think that would then solve certain issues about that part about like my weight being known by another passenger and things like that, right? So there's another question that's by another anonymous attendee, which is, does the passenger have to actually give consent if the airline is actually, taking the weight of the passenger? Is that a definite yes or no?
Yes, the answer yes, and I thought I
Okay.
just covered one second ago. We always have to declare that we are collecting the data according to Singapore PDP Act as well as GDPR Act, because now we're talking about aviation, and takeoff and landings are guided by the region that they take off and land on. So yeah, the short answer is we will always have to declare.
Thank you very much. And there's another question by Bernard, which is there a range of weight to cover, maximum and minimum?
I'll try to answer this from the point of statistics. So right now, if you look at the normal distribution curve of the world population weight, and we look at three standard deviation, by three standard deviation, it covers 99.7% of the world population. We are talking about an average of around 84 kg plus minus 45 kg. So 84 plus minus 45. So you do the addition and subtraction.
Thank you very much for that, Tajun. And the other question comes from a rather innovative perspective as well. Have the full aircraft weighing solution been tried before?
Yes. There has actually been an attempt to install certain weighing sensor at the nose landing gear of the airplane. However, it is not accurate. Reasons being to actually accurately acquire the weight of airplane in our industry, the traditional practice is to weigh in an enclosed environment. Meaning, if you do it on the apron, on the tarmac, in the normal airport environment, it's always subjected to weather condition, which will shift the accuracy. So it's better for us to acquire the weight of the passenger before boarding.
Sure.
And during fuel uplift. Hence the challenge, hence the operational constraints that we need to overcome.
Thank you very much, Tajun. I think I got that. And I think it's rather clear to the problem solver as well. Now, just one last question before we move on. I believe we do have a couple more questions, but they might be better reserved for the forum as well as the communication via the platform on Open Innovation platform. Last but not least, there's a attendee who's asking, like, how about the IP? Does it belong to the people who come up with the solutions, or does it belong to your company?
I was just typing the answer for the IP question. In fact, but the answer went too fast. I mean, I would like to clarify that the IP will always belong to the problem owner. However, there's some considerations where we have had successes in the past between determination of foreground and background IP. So without going into the technicalities of how that would work, the simple answer is that the problem statement owns the IP around the overall solution, but the technology supplier or the submitter who will come up with this MVC that can work with us, there could be a classification between foreground and background that could be determined.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think that leaves certain room for discussion as well. And sorry, Tajun, were you about the field?
I see a question asking, you don't need individual passenger weight, you just need the total weight. You need individual passenger weight because just as I mentioned just now, there's conservative fuel policy practice among the airline due to margin of safety. And this margin of safety is due to passenger weight inaccuracy and passenger distribution inaccuracy. What do you mean by distribution? That means where the passengers are seated. We cannot control where the passenger choose their seat. We are not going to do that. But we want to collect their data, their weight, and at which position that they are sitting at which position they are sitting. We are talking about weight and balance. So it's about the weight and the distance from a reference center of gravity point on the aircraft. Therefore, it's not just about total passenger weight, it's about individual weight and their individual distribution on the aircraft.
Right. Thank
How
you very
we're going to
much.
use the data to compute it is up to us.
So the position of the passenger is important as well. The
It
identity
matters.
type
It
with the
matters.
yeah. Thank you very much. I think that's very clear. So since we're answering one more question, maybe we have one last one for Edmund, which is how do we interface to your back end?
Yeah, I'll be honest with that. Currently, we don't really have a backend per se that's ready for this. But I guess, like we stressed and emphasized earlier, the challenge is still on data acquisition, right? Once we have the data acquired, it shouldn't be a problem on what protocol we use to transmit this data to any server or any hosting cloud in the backend.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Yeah, it does sound like pretty straightforward data, I guess. So, yep, definitely. Thank you very much, all the three, and to Zahida, Tajin, and Joseph. So before we move on to another speaker, I just wanted to invite the three of you, if you would like to add anything else to emphasize on the challenge itself. Anything else you would like to add in specificity or to emphasize? Yeah.
So one last
I understand.
comment. Go ahead, DJ. Go first.
Yeah. Thanks, Zaida. I understand that this is not a traditional problem which can be solved by software automation. We are talking about Internet of Things. In fact, advanced Internet of Things which helps in data acquisition. We have really been blessed with a lot of data sets in our own data platform. Now it's about enriching our own data platform with these advanced sensors. So it's going to be a challenge, but it will be an interesting problem to work on. Thanks.
Definitely. And Zahida?
If I may add to DJ's point, so the reason you mentioned at the very beginning that our prize money is a little bit higher than average,
yes,
and there's a
that's right.
reason for that, because like we've answered in the previous Q&A, we're less focused on the process or the improvisations or the applicability, whether you can use it for ground control systems or logistics or whatever. All those things are less relevant at this point. What we're looking for is to answer the fundamental questions of how might we obtain accurate passenger data with considering all the inhibitory conspicuous practices in place today that could optically put off a passenger. We know everyone on this forum could be sustainability conscious. We would like to do a bit, but we still would not want to make that step because it is not, let's say, sophisticated enough. So the key word being we're looking for sophisticated technology that can provide this data. So the submitter that we would like to invite to would be, please don't use the problem statement to sift what you might want to work with us on. Please bring forth your ideas so we can have a look and classify and we can assess. However, we want an operating working model in the MVC. It was from a previous question also I'm addressing in terms of what kind of technology we're looking at. We want to shorten the runway for using this technology to apply to a problem statement. So if you have a working model or an alternative idea that still provides the accurate passenger weight measurement, we're open to it.
Thank you very much, Zahida. Thank you very much to Tajin and Joseph as well. I'm sure the problem solvers will have a very, very good time trying to take a crack at this problem, right? Thank you very much for sharing with us. And of course, all the problem solvers continue to contribute over there. We do have certain questions which went unanswered. I believe they will be actually shared on the forum for further discussion as well. Once again, thank you to Zahida, Tajin, and Joseph. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, and all the best in finding your solutions ahead. Right, ladies and gentlemen, as you have seen over here and as shared by the previous problem owners as well, not all problems can be solved by software solutions and software solutions alone. A lot of them would entail different types of challenges specific to the different industry. And that is exactly why the OIP is such an interesting platform, because we gather, it's the meeting of the minds. We do have many, many different problem solvers as well as problem owners for different industries to share their different inputs and perspectives that might be useful in navigating certain landscapes as well. Now, with that in mind, we are moving towards our two final problem owners over here. And our next problem owner goes from AC Tesla. Now, AC Tesla provides professional services such as electrical testing. I'm sure you guessed it from the name as well. Assessment and distribution of electrical equipment in Singapore and the region. They are also certified and licensed to provide assurance of safety and reliability to power businesses across various industries, including commercial, energy, healthcare, and technology. Now, they also conduct regular health inspection of electrical panels, and that is where exactly some of the challenges lie, where it takes more than a week for a 5-man team to inspect certain buildings with a lot of panels, and there's also a lot of stress to prevent tripping the building's electricity. There's also a report that needs to come out of that. So their problem statement is, how might we actually automate and manage electrical inspection, compliance, and reporting to streamline the inspection process? Now, together with us over here, we have the General Manager of AC Tesla, Mr. Leslie Chong. He's an established executive and trained information technology and computer systems professional, and he has more than 20 years of proven track record in leading and commissioning large technology projects with huge success. Without further ado, let's welcome the GM of AC Tesla, Mr. Leslie Chong. Mr. Chong, please.
Hi, thank you so much, Ching Hong. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks to IMDA for this very good platform for small business owners like us to leverage on technology providers, solution solvers, and so on. And good afternoon to all the panelists and problem solvers. Okay. Thank you for giving me this airtime. Let me share my screen. Just give me a moment. Okay, so as mentioned, we are the electrical specialists. So we are the people behind powering up your buildings, your electricity. Some faceless people who work behind the scenes. When you sleep, we are all working at the back end to make sure that you have power for work and your living, right? So. Okay, so we have our guys here. Basically, we provide services, installation, electrical services, commissioning, and so on. Okay, so we actually deal with we call it high voltage power system, medium voltage, low voltage, and so on. So many of the buildings you see in Singapore. Singapore is well known for urban jungle, so we have high density of buildings. So we are not lacking of a lot of buildings to cover, whether it's commercial, residential, shopping malls, and so on, even data centers in recent years. So our guys put on PPE like this, helmet, gloves, uniforms for safety, and then we do installation and commissioning. We have to open up live panels and so on. Okay, so some of the other installations would be like solar systems. We have to commission based on the EMA standards. We have our electrical licensed electrical worker to actually commission based on their license. And then we also commission EV charging points. So EV is something quite a new thing for everybody. If I can take this analogy, what we do or how the industry works. Basically, you just take, if you go for a health check, so we are the nurses, we are a team of nurses. Instead of you coming to the clinic, we go to you. So the building is the patient, right? So for annual health check, you want to make sure that you're healthy, you're fit for work, and so on. So what do? We actually provide maybe the usual blood pressure test, your height and weight, your BMI, and then we go to further diagnostics like your pulse rate and so on, your ECG and maybe even X-rays, right? So once we do all these standard health checks for you, we will submit, we will base on our knowledge and experience to analyze the readings, and we will submit our report to the doctor. So in our case, the doctor will be the professional engineer to browse through our report and to certify you fit, right? If there is some problem with the readings, like for example, your cholesterol is a bit too high, and then we will give some suggestion. Maybe we will ask you to come back next 6 months, or maybe we ask you to further investigate on certain things. So this is what we do. So in a building, typically, for what purpose they have to do this kind of annual health check? Mainly is firstly is for safety, okay, fire safety. For such a high voltage we are talking about, it can create flash, which may cause loss of lives and building fire in the buildings. Okay, and then for of course your reliability of power. When you come to work, you don't want to be burdened by a lack of power or unreliable power. So in a building, typically in a large building, like maybe in Shenton Way with 40-story high, we have large panels like this, which is mostly hidden away from normal people. Right? Okay, so one of the services that we provide is called infrared thermography. This is one of the services. If you could relate it, it's more like an X-ray for your body. Okay, so we actually do a so-called X-ray on the electrical panels. So typically in a building, a very large building will be given hundreds of panels, electrical panels, whether big or small. So we carry a camera like that. We have a team of, we have a team leader who carries the thermal camera. Okay, by the way, this camera will cost about in the range of 20 to 30,000. Okay, it's a very specialized camera. So of course he has to handle with care, with kind of price tag. So he has the responsibility of taking the image and be responsible of we call it a technical assistant. So typically we have about 3 guys, and then everybody will report to the thermographer. He's a certified thermographer, which we have to attend course to be certified and have experience to do this. It's more like a radiographer if you do X-ray. So we will actually move along the buildings, okay, from switch rooms, electrical switch rooms, to even the offices, or if there is like a canteen area or any kind of rooms that need electrical panels, we will be there. Okay, so what is the challenge? This is a very laborious task, especially for the panel openers. They have to, although we work behind the scene, but we are dealing with live systems. So they are actually opening live panels, which actually there may be users using. We do not shut down the system, right? So we have to, first priority is to take care of our own safety. We have safety briefing and so on before each job. And then we have to be familiarized with the background, and then make sure that everything, the walkway is safe and all these standard SOPs. So the guys will be equipped with like electrical drills, gloves, helmet if needed, and safety boots. So second priority for us is to ensure there is no tripping. Okay, sometimes if the person is careless or due to fatigue, we may accidentally touch the switch or drop the screw and cause a flash. You will trip the entire system. So if we visit places like trading, stock trading rooms where they cannot afford to have their servers or computers down, if we cause a trip, it will be a big matter to the users, and we may be banned from our jobs, right? So typically the guys will be going around, and one of the most laborious tasks is to manually write down the panel names. Okay, so each panel, imagine you have 100 of people in front of you, and each person you have to take a photo of him. And not only that, you have to identify who is person A, person B, and person C. It won't be nice if you take photo of 100 people and then you jumble up their names, and when you give them the photo and you get their names wrong. So this is a very important part. We cannot afford to jumble up the names, and these names are very mundane. Okay, if you can see these examples, this one example of electrical panel is usually printed by the vendors. These are not controlled by us. Usually the panel providers, they just build the panels and give it a name based on the users or the architects naming convention. The bad thing about this is there is no industry standard whatsoever to have the font and the panel naming convention, not even barcodes. You don't see any barcode at all. And to a certain extent, you can see complicated fonts like this. These are standard fonts and can be anywhere. Can be left, can be right, can be bottom. We have to search. Sometimes it can be even handwritten. You see this kind of panel. It's so old, and some you can see panels even older than you. Not surprisingly, it's not IT, where electrical is a very stable thing where you do not want to change if there is no problem. So sometimes when they change certain things, they can just simply use the marker to write. So this is the challenge also, right? So we do not have a systematic, or rather a easier way to transfer these printed names into our writing pad. Okay, so you can see this is a typical example of what the thermographer has to do. Not only to take care of the safety of the team and himself, and to also visually inspect and also to check the infrared image and so on. He has to write down. So it's very tedious. Your fingers must be good and strong. Nowadays, we don't really do a lot of handwriting. If you notice you type too much on computers, after a while, you can't even really write, and only you can understand your own handwriting. So we have different thermographers with different handwriting styles. We even have different nationalities who got their own kind of writing style. So the challenge is having written this on site, and then we have hundreds of pages writing on these foolscap papers. And then coming back to the office, somebody has to transfer the handwriting into an Excel sheet like this. Okay, this one, for this example, you can see 55 lines, but it can be 500, even a few thousand lines easily per site. So you can imagine a building with 40 stories, and it can be thousands of panels. And we are dealing, each job probably it stretches over 5 working days. We can collect about easily 1,000, 3,000 images. There's a lot to deal with. So you can probably relate how laborious this is. So previously, we had a very tough time before we developed in-house software. We actually transfer this and manually type into a Word document. Okay. And when we started to develop our own in-house software, we improved a bit. We could take bigger jobs. Last time, we could only take like maybe a small factory with maybe 100 panels, but now we can take thousands of panels. But we still face challenges, like I mentioned, transferring from handwriting to typewritten in Excel. Okay, so to describe the flow, I simplify it with this diagram. So the thermographer will actually hand write into the foolscap paper, as you have seen. And then somebody, the data entry person, may be a person, may not be himself, may be another person, to look at the actual handwriting and type line by line into Excel format, sorry. Okay, and then we will actually input this Excel in our in-house program. And not forgetting the thermal images that have been captured, the image number has to be written down as well, beside the foolscap, the panel name. So if I revert back to this, you can see this example, the panel name, and then the image number, okay, in little numbers here. So we need to match accurately. Okay, after which is they match the numbers according to what you have written in the Excel. These two processes is manual. Okay, before that, we of course have to download the infrared images and then match that into a program, and the program will do some sorting. Okay, and after that, we have some kind of templates to generate out a final report. So our bread and butter is the final report, which is recognized by the customers. So what does the customer do with the report? So if you take example of a car insurance, so when you have to send your car maybe every 1 or 3 years for Vicom inspection in Singapore, what what do you get out of it is basically to renew your road tax. And of course, the prerequisite is to have your insurance renewed. So it's exactly the same for a building owner. So every 1 or 2 years, they have to get a license from EMA, Energy Market Authority, to be certified to turn on the power. So this is exactly what we do for them. So our report is a recognition by the PE to endorse the so-called inspection and submit for the customer to get the license from EMA. And not only that, they have to get the insurance done. So our final report is actually prerequisite towards the EMA license as well as the insurance renewal, right? Okay, so showing here is one example of how our report looks like. So I have removed the customer names and the details. So the job is basically inspected, reported by a certified thermographer with a license number, and then the date, and then the report number. So the contents, and then this is how we have from manual transfer to the Excel from the program to generate this final report. So each photo that we take will have details like this, right? So we can, like I mentioned, one building, if there are 500 images, we will have 500 pages like this. 1,000, we have 1,000 pages like this, not including the intro and the appendix and so on. Okay, so I've described the problems that we face, and for future collaboration for the problem solver, we could, if this thing that we develop is successful, I'm keen to explore further to collaborate with the problem solver to offer this solution to the industry, because I think electrical industry is quite a very say conventional industry. There's not much innovation towards things for many years. I mentioned some panels can be as old as me, as well as maybe even before Singapore became independent. It could be. So we want to provide innovation towards this kind of solutions. So if we could collaborate and further offer the industry, it would be something very welcoming for most people, right? So one of my ideas is to provide a SaaS solution to other report writers on a subscription basis. If we could offer this solution towards our competitors, which I'm more than happy to, if we have a very comprehensive solution on the cloud. So I could provide things like now it's very much in-house, where we generate report out of our computer, and then final presentation will be a PDF. If the customer wants to print out, we are all happy to print out for them. Otherwise, most of them will prefer paperless. So if we offer this similar solution to the cloud, and then we can actually allow other people to use, that means based on their own proprietary template, and then offer this kind of auto generation. And then to create, even like I mentioned, this is prerequisite for license renewal and insurance. So if you could create kind of standard report recognized by the authorities or industry, that would be a very attractive thing. For example, even we want to serialize the report number, we could even tap on blockchain. So if we could tap on this kind of things available, we could actually open up a lot of market for this solution. Okay, I think I'm done with my presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Leslie. Thank you so much for sharing. It's very, very in-depth and very clear as well. It's crystal clear. I almost feel the pain of writing down those numbers on those foolscap paper. And problem solvers, by helping Leslie, you're also helping to save the earth. Look at the amount of foolscap paper they have to use to store the writings on a daily basis.
Back to the school days.
Back to school days, indeed. And I love it how that you are actually trying to revolutionize the entire system and to create a better more efficient system for the entire electrical industry rather than just for your for AC Tesla itself. It's wonderful. And I'm looking at some of the attendees, and they have actually come up with some questions on, are the shorthand written structured in a particular way? I suppose they refer to the panel numbers and characters. Is there a certain structure to that?
Well, like I mentioned, there is no standard way, standard structure of, there's no nomenclature, if you can put it that way, in naming the panels. It can be anything. Right. But of course, with many experiences with our guys, we understand each other's handwriting. Sometimes it's quite repetitive, and especially repeated customers. Now you have, if you see for the last 10 years, data centers have been booming around the island. So a lot of our customers are data centers. So they give us yearly jobs that we'll go back. And then we somehow from there we learn that kind of the kind of language they use. Unless they change the name, then they will be causing us more problems.
Right. In short, there's no standardized format, yes, but there's a certain kind of consistency within an organization or a customer group lah, in that sense. Yeah. Is that correct?
Their customer, they have their own convention. And some, like as you have seen, they can simply use a marker to just
yeah. I think that was the I think that was the highlight.
And we are not organized authority or what to put this, to force the industry to adapt some certain kind of format.
Sure. I understand that. And the second question, and perhaps the final question as well, because I think you've presented it so clear that I think many of them, upon seeing the materials, and if they are able to access it on the online platform, are able to work on it immediately. So the other and the last question that we're going to answer is, are the number of panels and locations already known before the site inspection, or does that change?
It can be both. Okay, like I said, if repeated customers, more or less, we have a list. So just now I show you was like a first visit that you have to write on a blank foolscap, and then transfer it to Excel. So subsequent visit will be the same Excel. We assume that nothing is changed. And then we just fill up with the Excel. We print out the Excel. We'll fill up with the image number. If there is any change that we realize on site, we have to cancel it and write it over, because between the first visit and second visit, we will not be informed what is being changed. Yeah.
Understand that. Thank you very much, Leslie, for clarifying that. So in short, for the first time, they do have to do a documentation, and then in between, if there's any changes, they will not be aware. All right. Thank you very much, Leslie. I think that was very clear. And for those of you who are deciding to tackle this challenge, you may actually go on to the OIP website. And I think Leslie will be happy to go through the different proposals that you have. And of course, the deadline is 17 June, 4 p.m. So Leslie will be checking his computer then. So make sure that you have a proposal for him, right? So thank you very much, Leslie. Any final words for our problem solvers?
Actually, I wanted to add one more thing before I forget.
Of course.
I didn't manage to put in a slide earlier. Okay, this one is, like I mentioned, this is the first visit. Okay, subsequent visit will have the Excel. And then this Excel will be printed on the second visit, which will leverage on a more proper typing. But like I mentioned, this may change. It is sometimes quite fluid. They upgrade system without us knowing, and we go there, we will have of time finding where is that panel. So we will waste a lot of time. So one of the things that we would want is if there is a way to search, and then that means iPad or something with something, must be something very handy because the thermographer is already burdened with a camera and foolscap paper. We only have two hands. So you have a way to sometimes we can't find this particular panel, and you can see that kind of names is horrendous. Your eyes will go insane by looking at these numbers and a lot of repetition. So if we could have a way to key that panel that you see physically and help to search in this list and pop up somewhere, it would be good. Yeah, that's all I have to add.
Thank you very much, Leslie. Thank you for your time. So that variability has got to be catered for as well. Guys, log into OIP to see the challenge posted by AC Tesla. Once again, thank you, Leslie. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And as we moved on from the electrical industry, there are really a number of challenges that are so interesting, right? And of course, the last one coming from the electrical industry. And we're going to segue straight to a very different industry, and that is the training industry. Our next problem owner is actually SSA Academy. Just by saying the name, I trust that many of you already know who they are. They are a 35-year-old registered training provider, registered with SkillsFuture, and also a member of SSA group of companies. Their core business is training and development. So their problem statement is very interesting. Is how might we use data and AI techniques to actually enhance the learning ecosystem to provide more accurate, more curated training recommendations for each worker's needs, which means that personalization and customization over there, which are mapped and aligned with their employer's business requirements. So this is both alignment of personal needs as well as the business. So allow me to introduce, representing SSA Academy, we have their Assistant Vice President of Technology Solutions, Amir Abdullah, with more than 15 years of experience in education and management consulting. He has been extensively involved in several digitalization initiatives across several business and government agencies. Now let's welcome AVP of Technological Solutions of SSA Academy, Amir Abdullah, please.
Hi, thank you very much.
Welcome.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you very clearly.
Okay, fantastic. Okay. Okay, thanks to IMDA team and thanks to OIP for giving us this opportunity to share what is it that we wish to get the problem solvers to assist us in. So basically here, SSA Academy, we are trying to look at some kind of AI techniques to personalize corporate learning opportunities. And this is primarily to be able to drive performance for the organization's employees. So a bit of a background about SSA Academy. We've been around for more than 35 years to be exact. These are the kind of corporate clients that we've been dealing with, both locally and also internationally, from the likes of Yellow Ribbon, Blizzard, and overseas. We have dealt with the government agencies of Brunei and also in Abu Dhabi, in UAE. And we combine our training a lot with our consulting services. So in terms of consulting, we have been engaging in a myriad of areas, in particular productivity improvements, strategic planning and management, human capital development, all the way to digital solutions and analytics. And this is one of our latest foray that we have gone into, and this is where we have been engaging with our international clients. So in essence, we believe that it is important to combine training, development with consulting and technology services to be able to achieve operational efficiency, as well as to drive performance in our individual learners. So I'll go straight to one of our key products here, and this is what calls our best analytics. Now, this particular best analytics is primarily a predictive. It is a predictive report, fully automated, generated currently using. I think it's a very kind of a standard PHP protocol kind of a coding system to generate a passive predictive set of inputs based on passive modeling that we have done. So through our sort of rigorous initial studies and testing of a set of data of more than 500 cases, we're able to simulate how a subject matter expert will be able to come out with a series of recommendations about what can an organization be able to improve themselves. Now, this is very much skewed towards the area of consulting, but there is a lot of opportunities, and we want to be able to adapt this particular AI system. I wouldn't call it full AI system because it is actually a passive, but that is the idea that we have at the end of the day. So what we wish to do is that we would like to be able to further refine on our ability to look at the talent development aspect. So instead of just saying conducting a training needs analysis, we want to be able to provide something that is a bit more intuitive, more meaningful, something that can be linked to our training programs. Now, out there, what we can see is that there's a lot of LMS systems that gives you tons and thousands of training programs, but none of it is able to help us to pinpoint exactly what kind of training programs you should be attending. And we are in a position where we have got both the technology and the training programs that we can offer to our corporate clients. And this is where we would like to be able to see how is it that we're able to marry these two areas together and to be able to better provide better insights for our future trainees. So this is where we believe that we notice that there are some issues. So the problem that we face here is that we wish to be able to look at kind of a targeted learning and development recommendations. And this is something that must be aligned to the individual learning needs, not just a kind of a general recommendations. Oh, okay, so you are in finance. This is the latest of finance training that you can try and attend. I'm in the area of HR. This is the kind of HR training that you can attend. We want it to be something more personalized based on their competency at that point in time. Okay, so it's not about just in case kind of the training, but it must be based on just what you need. So what you need is what we will offer to you. Okay, and because we want it to be something that is able to work and learn by itself, this is where we want to also see ROI to be generated by the organizations when they send their staff for training. So for example, if I have gone a training in terms of being able to do a good presentation, so subsequently after the training program, when I attend this particular person's presentation session, am I able to see an improvement in their ability to present? And if they can we provide a system where we are able to give feedback about this particular person on this application, and that particular feedback based on an NLP kind of a system, we're able to quantify their performance from that qualitative input and put it into the model to be able to predict what kind of future training programs that we can then recommend for this particular individual. Okay, so this is where it is a kind of a three-pronged approach. The first approach is we need to have a kind of a good system to be able to capture what is the baseline score of this particular individual across the various skill sets. And this is something that we can assist the problem solver to be able to match with the existing skills framework that Singapore has. Now, with that particular input that we have, we can then be able to use our initial mapping of the skills and competencies of individuals and to be able to come up with a system to be able to train the data. Okay, and this trained data can then be able to help us to perform the future predictive or to be able to predict what kind of courses that is actually recommended for this particular individual. Okay, and based on the prediction, we can then prescribe to the individuals in that particular automated report that look for this individual A, these are the kind of training programs that they should attend. Okay, and the second aspect of this particular system that we wish to achieve is the NLP component, which is to be able to track their performance. So the NLP must be something, it is a system where we're able to put into the system, fit into the system, what are the kind of keywords or the key phrases that is being used to be able to describe someone's skill sets, and how do we then create a kind of an ordinal to be able to quantify that such kind of words would mean it is a score of say 5 or 4 or 3. So these are something that needs to be quantified, something that needs to be discussed with the vendor as we develop the prototype. Okay, and this particular scores that we are collating over a period of time can be aggregated, and we can find some kind of a weighted score or weighted average score, and we can compare it against the skill set at the beginning when we did the pre-evaluation survey. So from here, we are able to see whether there's any significant improvement as a result of them attending the training program. And we can then look at all of the various kind of skill sets that this individual is supposed to have based on the competency or based on their job family that they are under. So if I were to look at some examples, so what I mean about the idea of the NLP is that I can put in, say, a kind of a series of words or a series of descriptive words to say about the personality, for example, or the ability to relate to questions. So here you can talk about involving others, about they always question certain status quo, or they are the one that is able to link certain ideas together, you know, the dot connector kind of people. And we can then find a way to categorize or to be able to organize them. And this is something that can be fed back into our NLP system. Now, the other scenario that we talk about in terms of the machine learning is that rather than just talking about you should go for a TNA or improve on your negotiation skills, we want to take it one notch higher when we talk about, okay, so when you talk about them needing to improve themselves, we are able to tell them, look, I think you need to go for the managerial finance course at level 3, and I can click sign up and I can automatically have access to the asynchronous training courses, or if it needs to be a synchronous training program, that can be suggested as well. So it will bring them to a kind of a registration page where they can just choose to say, I want to register for this particular training program. Okay, so at the end of the day, these are the kind of recommendations that we want to be able to map from the predictive analytics, and to be able to correctly prescribe the appropriate training programs based on whatever data of training programs that we are able to provide, or for that matter, any other third-party training providers. So this is something that we can help better the training and other education industry to be able to ensure that they are able to provide more targeted training programs for corporate learners. So I believe that in this particular approach, it is definitely going to have a lot of corporates out there where, look, a particular staff may say that I think I need to go for this training program. I think I need to go for that. But where's the justifications for that? Where's the proof for that? So this is something that could add as an objective approach towards assessing, evaluating someone's skills and experience to appropriate training programs at the appropriate level. So this is something that we hope that we could find a suitable vendor to be able to assist us. And at the end of the day, we believe that it can help us to benefit a lot of our other clients that we have been engaging with at the international front. So we are planting our seeds at the UAE, and we are also in Indonesia. Hopefully we are able to see partners working with us to be able to see this solution to be used across other countries as well. So that's the end of my session.
Thank you very much, Amir. It sounds like a very comprehensive, yet at the same time, very intuitive system, right? Comprehensive on the back end, but intuitive on the front end for the users to use. I think that's beautiful. It might need some time to fulfill. I guess they could come out with the MVP first as well, right?
Sure. Yes.
Any particular sectors that you're looking at, like as the most important, or the area that will bring the most leverage to these trainees or these people looking to learn, and anything that you feel is they should focus on first, because that being a huge system over here, right?
I would think that a good start will be on the machine learning component, because we have the baseline model for us to work with. We have the design behind how we are doing the predictive analytics. It is just a matter of mapping it to appropriate Python-based modeling, and to be able to bring in, if we can, the automated version of it, where we are able to do a kind of a scheduled modeling process based on the data that is coming back into the system. And subsequently, if you're able to work on the analytic component, that is going to be a kind of a value add to the users.
For sure. That sounds great. And talking about data, right? And one of our attendees is asking, like, what kind of data is available for the problem solvers to actually develop the recommendation models?
Okay, so what happens here is that we have already a kind of a series of data that we have been collecting in our training programs. And we continue to collect data based on our engagements with our corporate clients. So based on this set of data that we have, and based on our ability to map those competency levels to the skills framework that Singapore is currently adopting across all the 43 different industries, these are the kind of data that we will be able to provide. We have all the necessary skill sets. We have all the training program lists that we are able to provide with the necessary codes for that matter.
Right. Thank you very much for answering that. And of course, I believe there are more resources and more materials and more experiences and case studies embedded within the data that you'll get when you sign up from OIP as well. So we look forward to seeing you there with the forum and the questions. And do not worry, any question that goes unanswered today will actually go onto the forum. And you please do feel free to raise more questions with the problem owners as well. And with that, I'd just like to ask Amir, any last things that you'd like to emphasize on before we close off on your challenge brief over here? Anything you would like to emphasize to the problem solvers over here?
Well, the only thing I can share is that this is going to be a kind of an exciting journey, because as it is, our system is already been adopted by some of the government agencies in the Middle East. And this is something that we wish to add value to the experience of our partners in UAE, for example. So this is something that we would like to continue to leverage on, and I believe that there will be more doors of opportunities that we could open up as we collaborate with our prospective problem solvers.
Thank you very much, Amir. Thank you so much for sharing your challenges and the possibilities of where you guys can go together far beyond OIP. Actually, I believe that this is where the spark happens, and you can continue to kindle the relationship to expand it on a nationwide basis as well as regional, right? Thank you very much, Amir.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. We really appreciate it. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining in on our session today. This is the OIP Innovative Thursdays, and today we were focusing on operation streamlining. Just to give you a recap, we did have our friends from aviation industry who is actually, looking at accurate passenger weight management, if you remember that, right? Measurement, sorry. And the next one was by AC Tesla on digital platform for electrical inspection. We do also have BW Water coming up, the automating project management for operational excellence, and also e-application with digital prompts with enhanced user experience. That was one of our first presenters, Mr. Victor Mills, who talked about the challenges with the ATA Carne form, if you do remember that as well. Now, last but not least, we do, of course, also have SSA Academy with this AI techniques to personalize corporate learning to drive performance. Ladies and gentlemen, we do hope that you enjoyed this Innovative Thursdays with us today. And the next session is actually going to be on 12th May. But please do not just come back on 12th May. You got to go on to openinnovation.sg immediately to register yourself. That's where you will be able to see the rest of the design briefs. And as mentioned, right, $300,000 worth of prize money, altogether with 11 challenges for this round 1 of call 13. When you go to openinnovation.sg, if you forget anything, just go openinnovation.sg. When you scroll down, you can take a look at the different challenges that we have mentioned before. And of course, on top of that, there's sector-wide challenges. And these are all the different success stories, different resources that you can use. And of course, sign up for our mailing list so you won't miss anything. Once again, someone is asking, how do we get hold of the data set and details, because the website only has description. So if you do notice, right, when I come into this website, you've got to create an account by signing up. Because when I go to any enterprise challenge, say, for example, I go to the one by BW Water and I click view details, you have got to do actually a sign in to get the challenge brief in detail. So this is where you can get the rest of the details as well. And of course, following that, there's a series of different resources and different processes to support you in developing the prototype and eventually winning the prize money. Now, I trust many of you are here not just for the prize money, but to solve different problems and change the world in your own ways, in your own right. And of course, develop ensuing relationships with these enterprises. I'm sure you have seen a lot of potential in these resources and these solutions being placed on a worldwide scale, and also to scale up to different sectors. So we do hope for you the best in your journey forward with OIP. Once again, this is the Innovation Thursday brought to you by IMDA Open Innovation Platform team. Thank you very, very much, and all the best to you. All right, and may you be the winner. Thank you very much, and see you. All the best.